The sky was burning. The clouds red with twisted fire. Lightning moving across them. And they descended upon everything. Like a furious battle between God and Satan, good and evil. Like a fire vortex.
Hey, how are we doing, everybody? It's your boy Ride Dog from Timbers Army. I hope everybody's having a great evening so far on this beautiful Saturday night. I'm not alone here in the booth. I am joined by my fellow accounting brother in Debit. Debit, how are we doing on this Saturday evening?
Bro, you just revealed my hide and seek location. What the heck, man?
Sorry.
Nah, it's all good. We're having a good night so far. My team is out of the playoffs, but it's very fun being in a sort of perspective spot where you just get to watch everybody beat up on each other and enjoy this Saturday of soccer across the United States. But I know we're all watching right now. It's time for Rocket League. So let's start talking about the matchup we got going on.
Let's do it. We've got one match for everybody tonight. It's going to be EC Defiance of the Seattle Sounders. Disgusting. And KC Cauldron, of course, of Sporting Kansas City. So, big implications tonight for one of these teams. If we could pull up the league table, Maz, that would be awesome, and kind of show you what these teams have to play for. Unfortunately, of course, EC Defiance there at the bottom of the table, yet to win a game this season, but I think we've all enjoyed their progression over the course of the season. I know I'm in their Discord server, and they play constantly.
Yeah, ECD is honestly a team that, like, their standing position and their points total do not represent how much they've actually improved over this past season. I will admit, after watching a couple of their games beforehand, I looked at the matchup that they have against us, Steel Army, and going, oh crap, I think we need to worry about some of the physical presence we got going on with Emerald City Defiance. But even then, after everything they've been through this season so far, unfortunately they did come up short again. They are not essentially playing for anything at this point besides pride. Maybe a chance to get a couple more points back. They cannot change location within the table themselves. But the other side of this matchup, KC Cauldron, that's where the bigger interest is, because if you look at that sort of 7-6 area over here, it is there's a gap there that KC is looking to close a bit, and they have a really good opportunity to do that here tonight.
Absolutely, and of course here in SGL, each game constitutes a point, and then if your team gets the series win, it's an additional point on that. So if you do win a series, let's say 3-2, the winning team gets 4 points, and the losing team does get 2 points. So it's all beneficial to all of the teams. So of course, KC Cauldron, if they do win tonight, it'll propel them up to 20 points, right behind the 6th spot. And of course, my team, Timbers Army. But if you notice, Timbers Army did not play this week. They do not have a game this week. Therefore, they are stuck there. So it's going to leave everything to play for in next week's matches. And of course, we can go over those a little bit later in our broadcast. But Debit, let's just talk about tonight a little bit more of what we're seeing. Because of course, maybe on paper you see KC Cauldron kind of taking this as a 3-0 or maybe even just winning the series. But talk to me maybe about the other side, about EC Defiance. What do you think they can do to maybe freak out KC a little bit?
So the biggest thing with KC that I've noticed that you can sort of upset them whenever at least playing against them is you got the you got to get them out of their rotation. They're very good at sort of scaring you with the aerial presence. I know for a fact that Serrano is going to be playing for KC Cauldron tonight, so that's also going to be a factor that's going to be at play here. The biggest thing that you can do against a team that is going to be booming the ball upfield in order for these passing plays to work out that KC does so well, including a third that comes in for bumps and demos, is to just keep moving the entire time. EC Defiance, as much as you say like a lot of counterattack goals have gone their way, if they sharpen up that defense just a little bit, especially that transition play from offense to defense, they could give KC a run for their money, especially if they're challenging up within the air, within around that midfield area, maybe on their back third and carrying out through. That's where you really start to see that's where a transition play work out against teams, against KC Cauldron, at least in my experience. I don't know if you have the same kind of experience against them, considering your absolutely thrilling matchup against them the last time you played, but...
Yeah, I'll toot my own horn here and say that could have been series of the year. Timbers Army and KC Cauldron, of course. Timbers Army taking that in 5, but yeah, I think just from playing them in their experience, of course, I'm sure the lineups might be a little bit different, but nonetheless, yes, I think you said it perfectly about the aerial presence that KC Cauldron have, and not just the aerial presence, but all 3 of their players, or even if they decide to play with some subs tonight as well, and get some different lineups in, that all of their players have that threat in the air of producing a solo play that can dismantle a defense. And so I think you nailed it perfectly, Debit, of can EC Defiance challenge the ball when the ball's in the air? And even if it's not getting something on the ball, of course, that is ideal. But can you force KC to do something that they don't want to do, right? Maybe, Serrano, like you said, is playing tonight. If he's going off the ceiling and he wants to do, a flip reset, double tap, let's just say, right? Can you put off his flip reset so then he has to completely change everything that he wants to do, right? You don't necessarily need to hit the ball in that scenario, but you need to put a hand up and say, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna defend you here. I also love the keep moving. I think that's great as well. And I think a big part of that, going back, of challenging in the midfield, is boost. It's going to be about the boost battle. What we've seen KC, they always win the boost battle against teams. They're always able to do those plays because they have the boost. So can EC Defiance keep their corner boosts and maybe try and steal some of KC's as well?
Absolutely. That boost battle was one of the things that KC absolutely specializes in, and you have to keep an eye out for it at all times, because that's one of the best parts about their rotations. They will absolutely, smother you with bumps, shots, whatever, and before you know it, you're looking at both your corners going, where the heck am I going to find this boost at this point? And if you got Serrano coming in as third, he's going to be the defensive stalwart of this team coming in tonight. So you have to essentially survive with enough boost, get out, take control of the ball, not just boom it downfield. But you have to force KC into a situation where Serrano is probably not going to be their third back. You want somebody like, I don't even know who's going to be in for KC, but I know a decent amount of KC. If you catch them off guard going from defense to offense, they will force a save that ends up kind of works out in your favor. You don't have to go like super aggressive, but you can definitely force them to make a touch that they don't want to have happen.
Yes, 100%. I think I can definitely personally relate to that too, in that Timbers Army KC Cauldron series as well, of just being able to read where they're going to play the ball and positioning yourself in a way to react to that. Hey, I'm going to be, KC's on the backboard and going to slam it over to the right hand wall. I'm going to be up on the right hand wall and just get ready for the clearance there. So we should have, if AC Defiance can fix those things or can show those things in this series, I think they have a chance to surprise KC. Devitt, do you have any predictions for how this match is going to turn out, as we have both teams in and we're just getting ready to get going?
I put my predictions up as a 3-0 for KC, just sort of looking on paper. But I have a very, and forgive whatever I could be drinking tonight, but I really want to see an EC Defiance win out of this. So even though I am going against the on paper prediction, I'd really like to see a 3-1, at least what I'm predicting out of KC Cauldron to take the win, and then force that pressure on Timbers Army to get that result within their Week 11 matchup. ECD, I'd love to send them off with at least a bang, get that last point of the season. I don't foresee a series win, but at least something that they can take away before, taking the hiatus.
I agree completely. I think if ECD can stay in these games and even sneak out maybe a game or two, it's going to be a win for them for sure. But yes, I do also have KC Cauldron winning this game. I think I had them 3-0 in my predictions earlier in the week. But good news, Devitt, we've got teams ready to go. I think we've got, all 6 players on the field. And let's get into it. Let's do it. Game 1, here we go.
Absolutely. Game 1 off of the bang. Funch winning the kickoff, looking for Serrano. Nothing going over there. Smitty looking to play defense. That third here of Kansas City Cauldron. And early on, you could see Kansas City playing a little bit of a spotty defense right now. Able to clear their lines. But now ECD are going to have to play very good to play against this high-flying attack here of Kansas City.
As you already see, Kansas City getting on the board first. Smitty there with the pass from Serrano. Serrano going up off of the corner, and Smitty having no boost ends up doubling it with himself. I'm not sure how much he knew about him being able to double that, but nonetheless, it is going to be an early lead for KC.
The amount of clips that we've seen from Smitty in our clips channel here in Discord has kind of been popping off the chart, and now it's just been validated through all of the play here. And right now, right back, Funch off of a great assist from Serrano, taking it all himself. It's 2-0 early here for KC, and it's not looking good here for ECD.
And we talked about it right in the pre-show, a little bit of Defiance need to get up and challenge those balls from Serrano, right? Maybe he's not the one to score, but he's definitely going to be the one to pass. And of course, none of the EC Defiance defenders were up there and were able to challenge, so Serrano was just able to kind of do what he wanted. And so yeah, it's going to be a 2-0 lead for KC, but truthfully, just before those goals went in, we did see the ball kind of land on the orange half there, and you saw maybe some misplays from KC in the back line. So we'll see what happens later as Funch is going to get a shot. It's going to be a double commit from KC at the end of the day. So let's see if EC Defiance can turn this into an attack.
Hey, at least they've got the transition play going right now. Didn't amount to anything, but I know they've got a little bit of pressure right now. If they have a couple good landings, things can work well. Oh my gosh, the pass across does not work out. Smitty looking for another one from Serrano. Serrano famously not looking for any goal whatsoever for his team. Looking to be the assist and the save master of this team. Game still stays level at 2-0. Smitty looking for an outplay. Knows always knows. Looking for that control, and that's what ECD needs. Unfortunately, pitches it back to KC, and now we got to reset.
Who is the player for ECD to step up and command even the front or the back? No matter of course how things are playing. Of course, we did get reminded in chat. Thank you, Mez, that this is going to be Dervis's first appearance for ECD. He was kind of a staple last season, so we'll see what he can bring to the table, of course, over the course of this series. But who is that player? We've talked about all, or at least both of the other players as well, of Bird Nana and Knows Always Knows. But unfortunately for them, it's going to be another goal for Kansas City. Serrano having a really good 50 on Bird Nana. Funch is going to play it across off the backboard, and Smitty's going to be right there for Kansas City. So I think, just looking, of course, just in the first 2 minutes of this game, we've seen KC Cauldron push up all 3 players, and of course it almost led to one EC Defiance attack, and that might be the way that EC Defiance get back in this game.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. Like, I know we're not seeing Christmas here from not Christmas, because that's EC Blue, but Emerald City Defiance. Dervis getting the appearances. It's very good that at least Dervis is getting that rotated appearance, but we know we've seen from ECD that Bird Nana has kind of been like, the catalyst here for ECD. You definitely saw it in their series against Steel Army, my team over here. They were just putting on an absolute, bump show, taking a bunch of boosts, making the absolutely necessary hits. But ECD, they don't need that one person. They need the entire group to sort of get in that mojo. So as much as, say, Bird Nana could be that person, you need that whole team sort of in sync. You sort of look, you're like, all right, I'm over this way. Can we get a pass this way? I'm 50ing over this way. Can I get a follow-up touch over here? That's what ECD are going to need to get these outplays going against Kansas City Cauldron. Because right now, they're just getting absolutely suffocated right now.
Yeah, as you've been talking, Devitt, there's been quite a few shots and definitely a lot of possession for Kansas City. Of course, nothing materializing into a goal just yet, but here goes Funch up. Can he put it away? No, it's going to be Nose. Going to play it off to the side and thwart the attack for now. But yeah, can we see a counterattack just like this? Nose is going to play it off the backboard and straight down. That's kind of an awkward bounce, and unfortunately, there's not going to be a follow-up for EC Defiance as KC clears. But like we said, that is where the offense is going to be for EC Defiance. Those counterattacks, if they can find a way to put those on target, they're going to be in great shape the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's famously how like these teams that are not able to put up like a whole ton of offense are going to be able to do against these teams that just do so well structurally. You need those like small moments of counterattack where you can just sort of challenge in the midfield, catch them off guard, off their rotation. Because Kansas City, this is kind of, even though the roster that we're seeing tonight is not exactly like, you know, the 1-2-3 punch that we're used to seeing out of Kansas City, they can kind of just play the game plan however they want. And oh my gosh, I thought I just saw another one here come out. Nothing going here for KC quite yet.
Yeah, but here's going to be a shot. It might have been a pinch attempt from Smitty and Funch. Funch is going to get credit for it here on the sidewall. But yeah, like we keep saying, it's can EC Defiance weather the storm of this KC attack? And of course, it is really, really hard. I will mention in that Timbers Army KC series last week that both of KC's wins were by 4 or 5 goals. I think the game 1 win was 5-2 or 5-3 as Jervis is going to put that one off the crossbar right off the kickoff. And I think game 2 or game 3 was also like a 5-1 win for KC in that series. So of course you know the offense is coming out for KC. Of course you saw it in there. You saw it in this series in game 1. So yeah, but I think the story, Devitt, we've talked about it a lot so far, is can EC Defiance get the boost and can they have these big clears and even put them on target?
Yeah, and that's going to be one of the big things here for EC Defiance. We saw a lot of outplays, you know, go pretty well their way, but it was in some of those transition defense moments that ECD were definitely caught out. And that's where, you know, KC will thrive the best. They'll sort of like invite you to be like, yeah, take a chance on us. Like, we're coming back on defense. We're not the most set, but we've got the, you know, mechanics, skill, and boost to actually cover our net right now. Whenever you're looking at the counterattack, you got to be able to like transition right back. You know, it's gonna be a back and forth affair. Kansas City knows how to, you know, turn up the attack when absolutely necessary. This 4-0 defeat doesn't sound like much whenever you're looking at like the strength of these two teams, but like don't get it twisted. Like, this KC Cauldron team is absolutely like in control right now. They're sort of just like letting the game come to them, and they're taking their chances as they are.
100%, and we of course know how good KC Cauldron is at all times on the offensive side. We said it in the pregame as well that all 5 of their players, whoever we see tonight, they're going to be dominating in the air unless ECT can put a hand up. And of course on the offensive end, we saw it in game 1 scoring 4 goals. But we get into game 2 and we see a sub from EC Defiance. There's going to be a quick shot from Nose that's going to be saved over to the side by Serrano. It's going to be Parks in for Birdnana. So we'll see how that changes the plan for EC Defiance. And I've had the privilege of playing with Parks. He's a really, really good player. I really enjoyed playing with him. So we'll see what he can do coming in for Birdnana here in this game too.
Yeah, after playing against Parks in our matchup, honestly say a super solid player. Does really well, especially in defense here for ECD. Constantly saving things off the line, especially against the opportunities that we had against EC Defiance. So I'm really excited to see that sort of, at least on paper, defensive substitution. I'd really like to see Dervis, you know, get those offensive chances. So Parks providing potentially a little bit of stability here in the midfield. I think that'll be a good opportunity for EC Defiance to show, you know, who they are at their best at the moment. As you can see, they had a good early opportunity. They got the nice bump. They got a good shot going, some pressure going for the team as a whole. Ultimately not affecting KC too much, but at least enough to, slow him down a bit.
Absolutely, and you noticed that EC Defiance were challenging a lot of the balls in the midfield and not allowing KC to do what they want, and so of course that is going to bode well for them on the defensive side, of course, not letting in hopefully a lot of chances and a lot of goals, as Funch is going to clear this off his back line. Yeah, but of course in the offensive side as well, you mentioned it, right at the first kickoff, we saw a chance from EC Defiance, which maybe bodes well for them. Of course, like, this ball hasn't, of course, maybe now as KC's grown into the game a little bit more, has kind of stayed over on this blue half, but it's definitely been on the orange half a lot longer in game 2 already than in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And KC are definitely capable of dealing with all of this. As you see Smitty get one and then a second touch over here, forcing EC Defiance to get a little bit of a jump. But you see the defense hold here for ECD. They're definitely not letting these opportunities slide by. They're getting the touches need be as they draw out 2 already, forcing Funch to go up. Gets a good touch. Down for Dervis. Oh, that's an excellent opportunity here for ECD. And that's the kind of opportunities they're going to need if we're going to take a game off of KC.
Oh. Absolutely, but it's going to go in from Smitty. Yes, Smitty has a solo play flip reset. I'm not sure if he actually got the flip or not. If he did, no, it doesn't look like. Oh, yes, there's a flip there. He did get it, but didn't really need it to score at the end of the day, as all 3 players were back, but didn't get the jumps that they needed from the defensive side. So it's going to be 1-0 KC, but I think on that play, I wish I could go back just kind of in the meantime of the rotations back. We talked about it. You talked about it specifically, the transition, offense to defense, as, oh, that's going to be a good 50 from Parks. It's going to go off the post. But the players didn't have boost. They didn't have boost, be able to challenge and to make the save. And so, of course, if they have these extended attacks, the EC Defiance, if they have these extended attacks, where can they pick up boost to challenge these balls just like this? It's Smitty going up again in the air dribble. He's going to go for a flip reset, but that's a beautiful challenge for Parks.
Yeah, absolutely need be too. These players, they look really scary whenever they're going for the flip reset type shots over here, but the best thing you can do is sort of offer that challenge, make them think earlier rather than doing something they could do later. And Serrano, I'm sorry, that is an empty net miss. He has gone pause for a second after that, wondering probably how to miss that one. Unfortunately for KC, no other goal so far, but ECD gives them a little bit of a lifeline. As we see Parks looking to settle the ball, doesn't get the opportunity. Serrano up for another, maybe looking for a shot over here, doesn't get the touch. EC Defiance hold on, and they're gonna need to get a transition out because they got some players coming to bump them out of net.
Absolutely, as Funch is gonna put this one off the post, again off the crossbar. Serrano follows up with another crossbar hit, and so it's gonna be nothing for KC. In the meantime, still the 1-0 lead with 1 minute left, but yeah, ECD have looked a lot better. Here comes Nose. The Funch is going to get the save out. Dervis is going to hit this one off the crossbar. Here comes Parks. Not going to get the hit he wants, but yeah, this attack for for KC. This attack for KC is going to lead to an open net for Funch, and it's going to add the insurance goal for KC in game 2.
Yeah, that's one of those trick situations where Nose is like, maybe I can sort of draw him out, maybe hit him something downfield, but whenever you're last back, sometimes you just need to get that 50, and that's something that Nose didn't get. So unfortunately, EC Defiance are falling 2-0 here late here in game number 2. Serrano's already up, looking for an opportunity to clear. Nothing there at the moment. With 33 seconds left, KC honestly have not looked the most control in this game. They sort of just...
Oh, was that a Rule 1 break? Oh!
Did I miss that? Did I miss that?
That might have happened. That might have happened. I think it was Funch. Funch was the one that broke it. I'm not sure who he was locked with, but we might have to come back to that and see if the league wants to reprimand that, because we do not allow that in SGL. Smitty's going to play this on the backboard, and Funch is going to score. If we could just not let that goal count, can we just scratch that goal maybe? We can just call that and call it a 2-0, but nonetheless, It's going to be a really good pass from Smitty over to Funch.
Just to hit the quick -1 button on that goal over there. Just sort of show KC, not quite. We'll need to do something a little bit different over there. But that is going to do it here for this game number 2. even with Serrano with that last-ditch opportunity. Ball is still up. Maybe there's another opportunity here for KC. Oh no, that's tipped up for ECD. But now that ball will actually fall. KC get the 3-0 win. Still looking pretty positively in control. But ECD have shown a little bit of stride here, showing that they can pull off, these counterattacks that can lead to these goals.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to get Birdnana back in this game for nose this time. If I'm not mistaken, I guess we'll see who joins them for game 3. But I'm going to relate EC Defiance to what LV, Los Verdes, was last season. Of course, Los Verdes didn't win a series until it might have been the second round of SGL Cup or the third round of SGL Cup. But they looked so much better over the course of the season. I just feel for this EC Defiance team where, towards those first few weeks of the season, they don't have that chemistry going and maybe things are just a little bit awry. But these last few weeks, and especially this game tonight, they look incredible for what they've started out to be until now.
Sorry. A little bit of flickering there. Can you repeat what your last sentence was? I'm very sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. We're going to actually just keep it rolling into game 3 as we do see Birdnana coming back in for nose. So the EC Defiance roster is going to be Dervis, Birdnana, and Parks.
Very
Parks
good.
there. So we'll see how that changes things for ECD. And I think with ECD, with their lineups as well, what's nice is that all 3 players are similar in a way that they play the same, right? They all are, I like to call them all around. They don't excel in everything, but they're not bad in individual things. So they're all really, really good or solid in everything. So we'll see how that plays out as Smitty's going to go off the backboard and get a double tap as Birdnana will get a clear out to the side. But you look at the boost totals. Birdnana right now for ECD is the only one with boosts, and that's a little worrying.
Yeah, it's a little bit worrying for a team that's constantly on defense. Birdnana trying to find their way back. At least Dervis has finally gotten that boost, and it's only like a temporary, clear out for right now. Serrano able to get that double already on the transition, looking for a touch, able to get one. That's about as much as KC can do with that one. And they are a little bit starved right now. Parks has got to do a ton just to get this out. Able to get at least a boost right now. But you see, this is the KC strategy right over here. They're forcing these bad touches over here, maybe get a good 50 out of it. And even though ECD are able to clear, it's just not enough. They're just able to transition right back to it. It's causing a lot of confusion here for these ECD rotations.
Yeah, absolutely. As that shot's going to come on. What a save from Parks off the goal line. Can Birdnana follow this up?
Ooh.
Smitty is just going to keep it on his car and dribble right around the 2 remaining defenders for Defiance. Let's take a look at this again. Smitty. Oh, it's going to be a bump from Funch. Smitty just had to go over Birdnana. It's going to be 1-0 for KC Cauldron. What a play.
I had just had Parks on my POV too, and I just saw him get blasted out of the play by Funch as Smitty was dribbling that, and I'm just going, oh no, pray for the last defender in net. They have to go against Smitty in the ground game, and they have possession of the ball, definitely able to carry it all too. So yeah, unfortunate here for ECD, looking for potentially something to stave off the offensive attack, but it's going to be Serrano with the Furia goal explosion getting on the board for the first time this series, if my math is correct.
And Serrano, you mentioned it in game 2, missed that open net, and he switched cars. He's in the Octane. It's a little mental reset for Serrano there, and he will get the goal to grab an insurance goal for KC Cauldron. But yeah, I want to go back to actually a point that you said earlier about KC or ECD not being able to clear the attacks, or if they are able to clear it, it's going right back as Parks is going to hit the crossbar. Right there, unfortunately. There's been quite a few of those for EC Defiance. As Smitty's going to come through. Can he get a double? He can't. But it's these clears right here, right? Where you're hoping for EC Defiance to get a bigger clear that's just away from the KC Cauldron players. So they're able to get an attack going themselves or stabilize and reset and get some boost. But unfortunately, that just is not happening. But what is happening is Smitty is getting passes from Serrano, and it's going to be another goal for KC.
Yeah, that's just the dominant presence here of Kansas City. Like, you think you got it cleared out, and the next thing you know, you're just facing defense on the other side of the attack. It's a dangerous situation. I almost like want to go back to that, like that shot opportunity. Oh no, we are never going to be able to talk about the series again with these goals coming in. It's basically going to be a goal show here if you give Smitty this open midfield just to flick wherever he wants.
Yeah, that's unfortunately what I was talking about in the pregame and a little bit in game 1 as well. Is of course Birdana didn't have boost, so he probably felt it necessary to stay back and try and cover his goal as much as he can. But for those challenges, you just need to put a hand up. You need to give him something to say, hey, I'm putting you off of what you want to do, right? Smitty, of course, a really, really good player, and saying, hey, I'm going to flick this ball. But can you get up in his face, just like Parks did there? Get up in their face and say, hey, you are not going to do that on my watch, as that's going to be a really good challenge. Birdana, can it go in? What a save from Serrano. He wants to keep the perfect sweep intact, and Funch is going to put it in for 5.
And that just looks debilitating from this point of view, because this save by Serrano, honestly,
That's incredible.
it's not even otherworldly. It just looks so lucky at this point, where you're just like, what can I do to actually break the barrier of this KC team? You know, we're just looking for the first at this point, and they've had so many good opportunities, and that's where you're looking at these teams that, you know, don't get a lot of these opportunities. They're looking and going like, how do I, like, they have to break through on these close opportunities, or else it's basically going to be like over for them.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It's going to be a double commit from EC Defiance, and KC Cauldron is not a team that you want to double commit on, as they are going to score a 6th. And yeah, it's safe to say that KC's warmed up and have a lot of nails in the coffin there. And we'll keep saying it, Debbie, because I know you agree with me. This attack for EC Defiance, it's about 8/10 there. They have these passes in field, and they've hit the bar. They've hit the bar quite a few times, the post quite a few times. Yes, Serrano's gotten maybe lucky with a few saves here and there, but the attack looks really good apart from that final touch of a shot / a goal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the plight of the lower team here in SGL. Like, we know, like, a lot of the teams within SGL are actually, like, really good at what they're doing. It's just whenever they do have these opportunities, they just have to make the absolute most of them due to the defensive presence of these teams that are going to end up, you know, being championship caliber. As you see Smitty nearly getting a double tap over here, taking that one away from Funch. But yeah, it's these teams over here that, like ECD, you see the attack, you see the presence that they're offering, but they're just a little bit outmatched here by KC. You know, able to take these boosts, take these opportunities, get these extra touches that ECD just aren't able to cover due to the multitude of circumstances going against them.
Absolutely, and I think people are going to look on paper and say, oh, KC smashed them, they didn't let up a goal, all this stuff, but let's get away from that narrative right now, because I think EC Defiance have looked really, really good today, all things considered, and unfortunately they're coming into a KC team that realistically had to win this match, and had to do it in a way that's going to give them confidence going into week 11, giving that KC's not even in control of their own destiny, as Serrano's going to put in a 7th with 13 seconds left. But because, of course, we'll talk about a little bit later that KC, while EC Defiance may be eliminated from the playoffs, KC certainly is not. And so we will, of course, go over all of those things kind of in our post game as we wrap up this game 3. But like I said, keep your heads high, EC Defiance. You guys have looked great, and I'm hoping next season now they can take these better performances that they have later in the season, and can they just kind of put those together in the first part of the season, so where they're even improving towards the end of the following season.
Absolutely. And like, we've seen it from ECD, like, we've seen their team within SGL for a couple seasons now. We know they are the team that, you know, they have their team, they love to be with each other, and they love to play the game together and improve together. So you know that'll bode well, knowing that they're, you know, going to be playing with each other the entire time. But the sad part is, it's going to take a little bit of time. They're going to need that development, you know, let them cook, period. And I believe that EC Defiance is actually getting there. The problem is, like, whenever you come into like this weekly format, you're going to be getting like SGL's finest at this point. Because week to week, I've seen players in SGL that absolutely play teams much better than any ranked team has ever seen within their lifetime. So that's where ECD is going to have to sort of, lock in, go through the offseason, go, all right, what do we need to do to sort of like go up against these bigger teams that sort of like squash us at this point? How do we break through that barrier, get them to start respecting us a bit more to the point where they have to sit back a little bit more. They don't have to like easily put on the brakes at midfield and start 50ing everything that we do in order to keep us in a bad situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the EC Defiance players, they are on the game constantly. They play the game constantly. I see them, I snoop around their Discord and see them all the time playing with each other, playing Rocket League, getting better. And so, of course, we love to see that in SGL, and we really want them to continue the growth over the course of the off season for them. Of course, they are the team with the bye next week, so we will not see them next week, and we want to congratulate EC Defiance on a great season and to keep improving over the course of the off season into next season, because realistically I think this EC Defiance team, if you put up that performance again, those three players, or pick any of the four players you want and put them in a game against themselves from last season, I think this season's team would sweep them, no questions asked.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not lying whenever I say this, that EC Defiance have absolutely improved over this season. They even gave us some scares within our matchup over here. They definitely have what it takes to keep this improvement up. They've shown champ level players that they are worthy of being respected in this league. So it's all about like playing to the grindstone. They have a lot of players within their community that they could play against, sort of keep improving their skills. They have a lot of things that like surrounding info they can work with. Honestly, this team is set up for development at this point. Like, we're looking at like minor league team, they like promoting up to like all the way up to the major leagues at this point.
Absolutely. And so, of course, congrats once again to EC Defiance on maybe a great season performance-wise, maybe not in the league table, unfortunately. And of course, for KC Cauldron, they get the sweep. They looked really good. They looked really comfortable. But unfortunately, they are not in control of their own destiny, as we're going to bring up the league table, the live league table, through almost all of the matches through week 10. Of course, we had a few games earlier this week. We'll touch on those real quick. We had Locals winning their match against the Rebellion, so they will sit atop the table there. And then ECRC, of course, unfortunately falling to El Matador in 5. That was a great series as well, but they remain in second. And of course, you have Black Army, El Matador, and Rebellion all right there in 3, 4, 5. But Devin, I know we've talked about this a little bit already, but the real popcorn starts with that 6 and 7 spots going into week 11.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what the funniest thing about that situation is? There's a team within those 8 and 9 spots that are playing, tomorrow, that actually could somewhat affect this 6, 7, current outlook right now. So we're definitely not done as far as the table goes. Like, the top 5, they're in, but that 6th spot, oh my gosh, there is so much up for grabs at this point, and the fact that at least one of those teams will be decided by tomorrow, and then we go into week 11 with those 3 teams essentially going, all right, how the heck do we get into this last spot? Starting doing all the calculations. Oh my gosh, SGL has kind of devolved into a little bit of like that NFL like week 17, week 18 last scenario. Like, what do I need for these teams in order to like fall to get me in? It's kind of exciting to see.
It is exciting to see it. Of course, you mentioned it. The top 5 seeds are a lock, so they are in the SGL playoffs. That 6th seed still up for grabs. And let's kind of briefly go over those like scenarios. And of course, we can do the math kind of later this weekend / into next week. So that, of course, and you mentioned it, a lot still rides on that series. I think it's being played out tomorrow. Still Army and EC
is, yes.
Blue there. And so 4 points for either one of those teams. Of course, for Steel Army, we'll put them up to 19, and EC Blue will be putting them up to 17. And so we'll just take Steel Army, for example. They would need both Timbers Army and KC Cauldron to lose, and Steel Army to win, I believe, to sneak in there, which,
They
granted,
need
I'll say
Timbers
is a,
Army to not get 2 wins as well, I believe.
yeah, because I think that, yeah, puts you up on the 23. So that's a Debit. I'm gonna say it's a slim chance because I'm fired up for my match next week. So, well, but yeah. So there's that scenario just in itself, and then of course EC Blue. Well, then if they manage to win their series tomorrow, will be on 17 points, and then they would need KC and Timbers Army to not win games at all. I believe is how that would work out. Correct me if I'm wrong, because they'd be on 21 points.
Do you
KC
have the
would be on-
head-to-head versus EC Blue?
Yes.
I can't recall your... Okay, so they are almost effectively out then, if that's the case.
Okay. Okay. So, because I think it would probably defend on the game's won percentage, right?
Yeah, I think so, because head-to-head is one of the last tiebreakers that we have over here. So it's a very, very outside chance that we have going on here. But yeah, Steel Army has the best, I guess, like outside chance of creating a wave in here. But again, still so much has to go right. We're talking like, what, Timbers Army has to lose like 3-1 to LV, and then KC, I think if I'm looking over at these fixtures correctly, KC has to lose like 3-2 against El Matador or something like that. And who knows what El Matador we're gonna get that particular week.
Right, exactly. We've heard some rumors going around with the Weiss, so yeah, like I said, next week's gonna be a movie. Next week is gonna be a movie, but let's do a brief recap, because we'll do all that stuff. We'll do the playoffs and who does, if this team does this, then this is what happens. We will do all of that over the course of time, and we'll share that with you guys. But let's look at week 10 and see what we've had so far. Of course, we did a brief recap a little bit earlier, but of course that one match right in the middle there, still yet to be played. I think that's on schedule for tomorrow, Debit.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
already scheduled and ready to go. It just needs to be that time then.
Very good, very good. So yeah, Steel Army EC Blue will be happening tomorrow, of course. Like we just mentioned, a lot on the line. More for Steel Army, of course, thinking that they have a higher percentage chance of sneaking into that 6th spot. Of course, unfortunately, they are not in control of their own destiny, but still a higher chance than EC Blue. And yeah, so let's just do a brief recap, Debit, of the series so far. Is there one series, looking down on the completed fixtures, that kind of caught your eye or you remember fondly?
See, I know many people's eyes would look toward that 3-2 El Matador over Emerald City RC, but El Matador is one of those funny teams in my book that I don't want to discount, but at the same time, you have to look and go, all right, who the heck is on the field at that given point? And especially, like, I know what their comms are like, too. That team can have so much fun while losing at the same time. You have no idea, like, what you're going to get on a given week. So I'm not going to go towards them for now. Rather, I'd look toward that Locals 3-1 series against the Rebellion. That's one that I'm actually a little bit surprised of. Because the Locals, I know they are a very strong team, but I honestly expected that one to go 5. So that's one that I look at and go, okay, the Locals are starting to shift into gear as we get towards, like that playoff picture coming together. They realize, the reality of the situation they're in. We need to get all the points we can, get that number 1 spot, get the good life going. Playoff bracket looking pretty good for us. I expected, honestly, a much bigger fight out of the Rebellion, but that was honestly my series of the week so far. I don't know how you're feeling about series of the week.
Yeah, I think I was going to point to that as well, and thank you, Mass, for posting that in the chat. That it looks like Locals have secured a top 2, which looks like a first round bye for them. So of course, congrats to Locals for achieving that. But yeah, we'll see, of course, how they fare in week 11. They still, I'm sure, want to go for that number 1 seed just to have the bragging rights and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna actually go to that ECEM series as kind of my one to watch. I think we all expected it to go 5, just being two of the top teams in the league, and so it did not disappoint for sure. We had comebacks, we had insane goals, we had game time goals late, we had it overtime. Like, it was a fantastic series, and so props to EM for getting the win there. And of course, we did have 2 other matches as well conclude in week 10. Black Army with a 3-0 sweep over Los Verdes. And of course, the match tonight in KC Cauldron getting the sweep over EC Defiance. So, with that being said, Mr. Debit, of course, your game happening tomorrow. Do you have any keys maybe to look out for, or without giving too much away, of course, maybe the game plan for Steel Army, and then if you can maybe come up with a game plan for EC Blue and how you think they could beat you?
Let's say I can't reveal all of like the state secrets here, like on the stream. Like, there's only so much I can talk about over here. And plus, low key, Steel Army is celebrating one thing, but I won't reveal what it is. It's not even Steel Army related. It's just one of the team members. But I will point out that the Steel Army, I'm not gonna lie, there's, there's something to play for, but at the same time, there's not really much to play for. If you take the nerves out of Steel Army, that is kind of when you have them at their best, which is one of the weirdest things you can say, because you're like, all right, what if we get things in the beginning in order to set us up for, better times? But whenever you put it at no expectations whatsoever, it's like, oh, okay, nothing's wrong. I'll just start playing like normal, which is crazy. But in terms of EC Blue, you gotta look out for that lad named Christmas, I believe, which is only 2.5 months away, famously. That person is definitely, they don't light up the stat sheet compared to a person like Huskies, but they're going to be that person that's going to be driving a lot of their offense, especially the mechanic side of their offense as well. So if you look for that Christmas Huskies 1-2 combo, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, 100%. Huskies with internet is OP in a way. So yeah, definitely look out for him. And yeah, Christmas. Christmas, may I remind you, is not 2.5 months away, as Bear Blitz points out in chat. Thanks, Bear Blitz. Appreciate it. Because I also did. It sounded weird, but we're accountants, so if it's not done on Excel, it doesn't. We don't know. So
yeah, we don't know without that program.
Yeah,
we don't know how to do this on our own.
Yeah, so just bear with us here in the booth there, with no Excel up. So as we wrap up the stream here, I did want to go over the week 11 matches, just kind of high level and everything. Of course, like I said, we still have one more match to play tomorrow for week 10, but week 11 has a really good slate of matches. We've got Locals and Black Army. Of course, Locals wrapped up the top 2 seeding, but can they have the bragging rights and get that 1 seed? And of course, for Black Army, they can I'm not sure if they can hop ECRC in 2 with some help. I think so. That there's some implications there. That's definitely, that could be a sleeper match for sure. Steel Army, you guys face the Rebellion. That should be a good match as well. But and then we have an EC Derby, ECRC and EC Blue. That should be a fun match. KC Cauldron and EM, of course, we just talked about it. We don't know what EM is going to do, and KC, of course, big implications for them. They have to win that match. But I think the one that everybody is circling in week 11, of course, is that Timbers Army Los Verdes series, because Timbers Army losing that series kind of opens the door for everybody else.
I would agree with you on so many reasons, but at the same time, I don't know if this is like me giving credit to you guys for your resurgence this season, but I almost want to like scratch you out of that equation, because I expect you to win that series at this point. That's what I'm expecting out of you guys. I expect Timbers Army, the way they've been playing, to just kind of go out and kill everybody's hopes and dreams of like a last week miracle from happening, because the way Timbers Army have been playing these last few weeks, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be scared of playing them at this point. In fact, I was one of those victims a couple weeks ago. holy crap, you guys are resurging better than ever right before the playoffs. So I know that's going to be the series that people are going to be looking out for as far as, you know, like down the table. We need to go there. If we're talking about a series that I want to watch because of content, I'm probably looking at KCL Matador or Locals Black Army.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Those two matches could be really fun and would be super fun to either commentate. Hopefully, I have some time next week, or even just watch, because I think those will be high flying matches for sure. But yes, that week 11 match, TA versus LV. Of course, stay tuned in the announcements for that match, and of course all the other matches that are happening in week 11 as we get there. But Debit, let's wrap up this stream. Do you have any final words from tonight's match, or just kind of how we're looking moving into week 11?
Not so much on the matchup tonight. I think everybody that's been here sort of realized, you know, what has happened here tonight. But as far as what's going on for next week, depending on what series is coming up first, it's time to watch out. Because whether it's Timbers Army or KC upcoming first, or if it's that Steel Army Rebellion series, all I'd say is keep your eyes attached to this channel, because hey, if it's one of those teams that's looking to get help from Timbers Army to not push them out of playoff contention, and if they're before them this coming week, absolutely tune in. You want to look at these teams to see if they can pull off, you know, the needed result that they have to do. When it comes to, you know, looking forward ahead to the playoffs, if you're looking to see how a team like the Locals goes against Black Army, like any sort of kind of preview series, sure, that's fine too. But I'm not gonna lie, you got to keep an eye out for these last place matchups that are going to be coming down for the playoffs. That's where it's going to be, you know, the most critical. Definitely stay tuned for those ones.
Yes, we all love a good scenarios area, and I think you see that, of course, like you said, in the NFL too. Well, in all sports, really. Hey, if this team does this, then this happens, and this happens. Of course, as a fan, you absolutely love to see it. But yes, thank you everybody so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. For Debit, of course, and Maz behind the scenes, I just want to say again, thank you for tuning in. And stay tuned tomorrow for our last matchup of Week 10, Steel Army EC Blue. You do not want to miss that. Big implications there as we head into Week 11. But have a good night, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.